you, yes, you there, you, my friend, are you struggling against Chiampao and Dragonite over here, you know, these little rascals, or maybe even, Tornadus and Urshifu? Well, boy, do I have the answer to most of your problems. In just one simple Pokemon, you can completely screw over Urshifu, Chiampao, and Dragonite, and maybe even Tornadus.
Hello, you. I see you in the corner. So, Sabin and Fellas. So, in this video, I'm gonna be going over a Pokemon that I think is incredibly underrated, incredibly underutilized right now, and can solve a lot of problems that a lot of teams might have. So, Chiampao, Dragonite, Urshifu, Tornadus, they all heavily dislike this Pokemon, because, obviously that's a very, like, oppressive, strategy. You know, it's made to put on a lot of pressure, but this Pokemon can completely screw over a lot of it. And this Pokemon is just Mimikyu. Now, you might be wondering, oh, but see, boy, Mimikyu's a good Pokemon. Yeah, in Regulation A it was. When Flutter Mane came out, Mimikyu usage dropped off of the table. So, today I'm going to be talking about why Mimikyu is good, what it does against the teams that I mentioned before, and why you should use it. Now, Mimikyu does suffer from I have the exact same typing as Flutter Mane syndrome. Now, Flutter Mane, being the best Pokemon in the format, is obviously going to be a really good choice, and often, like, the better choice for a lot of teams. But if your team needs a good strategy against, like, if your team needs a good Pokemon against specifically, Chiampao and Dragonite, this Pokemon will fix all your problems against those two in Regulation C, and if it's Regulation D, this Pokemon also screws over Urshifu and Tornadus. So, yeah, it does share a typing with Flutter Mane, but they do very different things. Flutter Mane has the ability Photosynthesis, as you may know. Mimikyu has a very different ability, which is what allows it to do well, or is one of the things that allows it to do well into Chiampao and Dragonite. Mimikyu has the ability to Disguise. The first hit this Pokemon takes is blocked, and it takes an 8th of its HP and damage instead. Now, first of all, being able to just tank a hit like that is insane. But also, Dragonite can't hit Mimikyu with neither Extreme Speed nor Outrage. And because of the nature that is Disguise, if you have, like, Disguise up and you're in a 1v1 against an opponent's Chiampao, you win that 1v1. Now, you are gonna want to run Play Rough. The 90% accuracy is very annoying sometimes, but Play Rough is super effective. Dragonite and Urshifu. You're also gonna want to run either Shadow Claw or Shadow Sneak. I like Shadow Sneak more because the priority can be very useful. Then you're gonna want Trick Room. Trick Room helps a ton against faster teams, so things like Talonflame Great Tusk in Regulation C or Regulation D, you know, Urshifu, Tornadus. And then, the icing on the cake, this is a move that Flutter Mane doesn't get, being Will-O-Wisp. Now, Flutter Mane doesn't get Will-O-Wisp. So, the reason Mimikyu is so good at disrupting Chiampao Dragonite is because they both struggle to hit the Pokemon, and both of their damage is going to be significantly lowered by Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp does break Sash on Chiampao, it breaks Multiscale on Dragonite. Trick Room completely reverses the Tailwind that the opponent's team has. You are going to want to run Terra Fairy, because Mimikyu does only have a attack stat of 90, but that should be fine. If you like, those Terra Fairy play roughs are still going to be hitting really hard. Now, its bulk is relatively okay, 55, 80, 105. It's more physically bulky than Flutter Mane, but you are still going to want to run physical bulk on it. I like to go Adamant 164, then I like to go 52 defense, and boom, boom. Now, Mimikyu can run a number of items. It can run Life Orb. Life Orb's normally used on the full offensive sets. I like to run Safety Goggles. Keep in mind that you don't need to run Trick Room. This thing also gets Taunt. It also gets Curse. But mainly I like using it for Trick Room. Now, I've already talked about Chien-Pao Dragonite. They both struggle to hit it. Trick Room, both of their, like, either, like, Multi-Scale and Focus Sash are both broken by Will-O-Wisp. Mimikyu hits them both super effectively. That's all for Regulation C. If your team is struggling against Chien-Pao Dragonite, and you don't need Flutter Mane, you can slap a Mimikyu on here. Your problems are solved. In Regulation D, however, it's a bit more complicated, because now you have to deal with Urshifu. Urshifu does have Surging Strikes. Hits 3 times, always crits. Unseen Fist goes through Protect. However, it doesn't go through Disguise, so Mimikyu's only going to be taking two hits of Surging Strikes. Now, because of the guaranteed crits, Urshifu is immune to Intimidate, and it doesn't go through screens. Now, Mimikyu doesn't solve the screens problem, but there are only 2 ways to lower the damage of Surging Strikes. The first one is with Wo-Chien. Tablets of Ruin ignores crits, so damage is still getting lowered. Now, Wo-Chien is a good Pokemon in Regulation D, and it's like pretty decent in Regulation C. But the only other way of reducing the damage of Surging Strikes is the Will-O-Wisp. Now, if that Urshifu is burned, you're going to see it doing like pretty pitiful damage. Even with the crits from Surging Strikes, its damage is not going to be that good at all. And then Tornadus. Tornadus would also be a problem, because, like, you know, there's the whole hyper offense thing. But the Tailwind, the Bleak Windstorm, and the Icy Wind that Tornadus likes to use, like the lowest speed. Mimikyu doesn't care about that. It's clicking Trick Room anyway. So yeah, Mimikyu benefits greatly from having, like, the beneficial type matchup, a really good ability, Will-O-Wisp, you know, just really good at disrupting Chien-Pao Dragonite. Now, Mimikyu does have some weaknesses. If you run Shadow Sneak instead of Shadow Claw, it does, like, despise Golden Go. What else is there? Annihilate doesn't like it too much. Oh yeah, the things it's good against, because you tank one hit, whether it's physical or special, you can tank a Shadow Ball from Flutter Mane, but also Flutter Mane takes big damage from Shadow Sneak. If we look at Nerd of Now, look at Mimikyu, Trick Room set. Oh wait, I've ever run. Wait, I got boom, boom. Then we look at Flutter Mane. Let's go bulky special attack booster. Shadow Sneak's doing 50%. So you tank a Shadow Ball, like you hear Shadow Sneak can tank a Shadow Ball, but then it's dead before I can get another one off. So that's pretty huge. It does also have good special defense. If you Terra Fairy, you immediately just win anyway. Then Play Rough is going to be doing more damage anyway, but I would rather Shadow Sneak to avoid the 90% accuracy. As for partners for Mimikyu, it does love Iron Bundle, because Despite it having Trick Room, it does love the speed control. As I say, for a team that's slow, that's around like the same speed as yours, Iron Bundle can help a ton. I don't think you're gonna want to run this thing next to Flutter Mane. Despite both being good Pokemon, it overlaps in both types, so I don't think it's worth it. It also loves Iron Hands and Amoonguss. Obviously, the Rage Powder from Amoonguss can draw hits away from Mimikyu, allowing for it to last even longer than it normally would and cause even more disruption. And Iron Hands just really benefits from the Trick Room mode. If we look at Pikalytics, and we look at Mimikyu, you can see like those are the main Pokemon it's paired with. It does also pair really well with Chien-Pao, because despite also being good into Chien-Pao, Chien-Pao also boosts Mimikyu's attack. So, I don't think you can go wrong with that. In terms of Regulation D, it does love Ursaluna, because this thing gets Belly Drum. Think Mimilax from Sun and Moon. But these two cover each other's weaknesses really well. Mimikyu covers Ursaluna's weakness to Urshifu. Ursaluna covers Mimikyu's weaknesses to Steel, Poison, and Fire types. So things like, Heatran, Chi-Yu, Golden Go. What poison types are there? Poison Excalibur, I guess. But these two complement each other really well, and Ursaluna gives Mimikyu a really good Pokemon for the Trick Room mode. But yeah, I think I'm gonna look at another calc. If we look at Urshifu, look at Urshifu Rapid Strike. Playrough is Terra Fairy Playrough is doing around like it has a chance to Oko, but even then it's a 2-hit KO. So yeah, and then if we look at Dragonite, Choice Band set, no, they don't run Joy, they run Adamant. That's Dragapult, hang on. Dragonite. We look at Multiscale. Let's go Inner Focus to show that the Multiscale's been broken. Yeah, again, you win the 1v1. We look at Chien-Pao. Not only does Playrough get it down to Sash, but then it can just click Shadow Sneak. Again, you win the 1v1. This Pokemon is just insane. I think it's very underutilized, very good at disrupting all the meta threats. Like, I think if your team has a weakness to Chien-Pao Dragonite, then you can slap a Mimikyu on there, and those problems have a good chance to get solved. So, yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching, bye.